All right, I'm going to turn that off so I don't get copyright violations again, and welcome. Now, you may not know anything about the stock market or options trading, but that doesn't really matter. I think I can explain this concept pretty simply to you. And this is a way you could take a small amount of money, like let's say you had 10 grand. Well, maybe you don't have 10 grand, 5 grand. Maybe you don't even have 5 grand. 2 grand. You probably need about 2 grand, 1 or 2 grand to set up an options account. And I don't even think that this requires the highest level of options trading account. Now, options are a financial product that trades on major exchanges. You could get an options account from like TD Ameritrade or Schwab or any big investment house. And the concept here is to put a calendar spread on in something like Tesla. And the reason I picked Tesla is because the price of the stock, it's a pretty high price stock. The options prices are pretty high, and it just fits pretty well for this sort of strategy. But you could pick other stocks also. And what you might like for something like this is an ideal stock might be one that is sort of kind of in a range. It's not really moving up or down that quickly. It's just kind of hanging out in one spot for a little while. And it's debatable whether Tesla is the right stock for that. But the concept is, now a lot of times when people will say, okay, well, sell options. Now, an option is an instrument that decays over time. So it slowly goes down in value up until it expires. And if it's called in the money, then it will expire at what's called its intrinsic value. And if it's so-called out of the money, it will go to zero. Either way, it's always going down in price. So, but it can be very, very risky for people to just sell an option by itself. We call that, if we sell a call option by itself, we say, selling a naked call. That can be pretty risky because, well, essentially, your risk is unlimited because a stock could theoretically go to infinity, and you could theoretically lose infinity minus the price of the strike of that call, minus the amount you sold it for. So something that's a little bit less scary, frightening, and that sort of thing is to do a spread with options. And what I mean by that is buying one option and selling another one against it. That way, the one option kind of protects the other one in a way. Options that are closer, options have different time limits on them, and options that are closer to expiring are decaying at a more rapid rate than options that are farther out. So this sets up a situation where if you buy one farther out option and sell a closer option, the closer option is going to go down in value a lot faster than the farther out one. So if you are short the one that's going down in value faster, you're going to collect money essentially every day. Now, in practice, you probably wouldn't see your money collect specifically every day exactly the amount that theoretically it should, but it might happen that way. If your theoretical values say that you're going to collect, let's say, 50 or $100 a day, it might not be that it comes in every day $50. It might be that 3 days nothing happens, and on the third day $150 comes in. It might be that $150 comes in the first day, and then nothing happens for 3 days. It could be that $300 comes in the first day, and then goes back out the next day. But over a period of time, the amount that your modeling software says you will collect will come in. And so I was looking at a trade in Tesla where you can take $2,000, $5,000, let's say, and put on one of these spreads where you buy a farther out option. By farther out, I mean maybe like you buy a December option and you sell a September option against it. So, and you collect a certain amount every day. And what's your risk on this trade? Well, the risk is there's two risks. There's Vega risk and there's delta risk. So if Tesla moves too much in one direction, just straight up or straight down, the trade's going to start to go against you. And there's things you can do at that point to kind of protect yourself. And the other risk is that volatility comes in, or the price of the farther out option that you bought goes down very rapidly. Now, that farther out option could actually even go up, which would be good for you. But so to avoid that risk of the farther out option going down really rapidly in volatility, I like to put this kind of spreads on after an earnings or after a big event when volatility is lower than normal. So let's take a look, and maybe I can explain this a little bit better if we actually just illustrate it by looking at it here. So this that's the Tesla Roadster behind me, and that was actually the original Tesla that came out several years ago, and not many people know about it. It actually doesn't fit into, if you try to plug it into a regular Tesla port, you need an adapter. It doesn't really fit in the regular Tesla port, but it was the original one, and it shares a lot of parts with another car, and I can't remember which one it is right now. But let's take a look. Let me remove our Tesla Roadster for a second, and let's take a look at a screen with some options on it. And like I said, you may not know anything about options, but that's okay. This screen here looks a little bit intimidating, maybe. Let me see if I can make it a little bit simpler and get out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Tesla here. All right, so here's the chart of Tesla, and you can see we made this big move up for earnings last week. So let's see if I can do a little bit better with this. Okay. So I adjusted that screen a little bit. So Tesla made this big move up last week. Each of these, the darker sections is during the day, and the lighter gray ones are like the after hours sessions. And so this is like Friday, Thursday, Wednesday sessions. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday sessions. And you can see earnings obviously came out Wednesday, and you can see it spiked way up. And it actually, from where it closed on Wednesday to where it closed on Thursday, was like $48 or something, like this huge amount, this huge move up. And volatility sort of came in. But if we back this chart up a little bit, you can see that, over a period of time, this is a year chart, Tesla has sort of been trading in a range. I mean, it's been between 389 and 244. So my thought is that you apply a spread centered somewhere in this range, and as long as it sort of stays in that area, you will collect that money every day. So, for example, before earnings, I had a 320 calendar spread on, centered at 320. After earnings, I moved it a little bit up. So after earnings, I had a 340 and a 320 calendar spread on. So let's go through this trade for a second. And I want to remove anything that was there before. And maybe we can go to... Okay, so I've switched this to a simulated account here. Okay, so the kind of trade I was talking about is, as I said before, maybe buying buying, let's see, I'm not sure why this is listed as October here. All right, we don't want it as October, so let me try to fix this here. Because Tesla is not in October right now, so let's see. All right, let me try to reset this, and we'll try that again. It was showing different dates. But essentially, we would buy one option and sell another one against it, and the sheets will show us collecting decay each day. So I'm going to illustrate that now here. And thank you. If you're watching this live, I apologize. I will edit this at some point to get rid of this little section here as I reset my graphs. But with like a $2,000 investment, you can collect a certain amount every day. And the best thing about it is that weekends, you collect the money also, even though the market's closed and it, by definition, can't move. That works in your favor. So let's see if we can try this one more time here. Okay. So Tesla. And here we go, August options. All right. So I have some small spreads on this account, but we're gonna disregard those because I want to start from scratch here. All right. So we could say, for example, we could buy. Well, you see what I've put on here actually. In this example, I have bought a September 340 call, and I've bought an October 340 call, and it's not showing. Oh, that's strange. Here, let's see. Screen. All right. Love the technical difficulties. All right, so window capture, okay. All right. Thank you for your patience to the technical difficulties. All right, so here we are. So you can see here, I've bought a September 340 call, or I bought two September 340 calls and one October 340 call, and I've sold 3 of the August 340 calls against it. So, so this trade is it's a little less than $4,000 invested, and here I collect $58 a day today. And tomorrow, even though the markets are closed and there's no risk. Now, of course, Monday stuff could move around, and it shows my delta right here as being short 8 deltas and short 1.92 gamma. So I'm slightly short, and this is because this calendar is centered around the 340 strike. So at the 340 strike is the best place that this could go for me. And I'm leaning a little bit short by design just because that huge move a couple days ago up $48, I figure that it's got to come back a little bit, come in a little bit from there at some point. So maybe that's not true, but I just wanted to fade the move a little bit. So if it just kind of sort of reverts a little bit back, then I'm in perfect position. But if we look at this under the Analyze tab, we can try to add some other trades. So for example, let's try to add one more spread trade, buying an OCC 340 call. So I'm going to go here and click on the offer, and it's going to show up on the bottom of the screen. And then I'm going to go to to August and sell the August with 13 days to go call. So August, 17 August, 340 call. So I'm going to click on the bid. I'm going to hold down Control and click on the bid, and that's going to bring these into a spread here. Okay, so this one spread would cost $1,700. But as you see, if I click this off and click it on, you see it's going to add about $20 a day. So for $1,700 investment, $1,733 investment, I'll collect about $21 a day in decay right now. Now, if I move this forward a couple days, you're going to see the decay increase, because as the options get closer and closer to expiration, these August calls, the disparity is going to increase between the rate of decay, and these are really going to start to pick up steam. So if I were to move this forward a few days, all of a sudden we're collecting like $100 a day in decay. So that's really exciting. But you also notice as we move this forward, the delta is going even more and more negative. That's because, once again, the perfect spot would be directly at 340, and as we get towards expiration, the deltas will reflect that more and more. So position like this, as I said, as long as it sort of stays in the general area, like if Tesla stays between, like, let's say 375 and 310, something like that, then no real adjustment is needed. But if Tesla does sort of move to a different spot, and if it moves up too much, then your delta is going to start to get more and more negative. And so you might want to do something like, if you have 3 spreads on, you might want to take one spread off of the 340 strike and move it up to like the 360 strike if this moves higher. That way, you adjust your deltas a little bit. So let's say we tried to do that. So let's say I wanted to get rid of one of these spreads. So instead of buying it, I wanted to sell one of these August spreads out. Okay. And then I wanted to move it up a couple strikes. So I already have selling out one of these. So let's go to October 360 strike. And I'll click on the offer to buy one call. And then I'll go back to my August 17 strike. And I will click on the 360 call bid. I'll hold down Control, click on the 360 call bid to add one of these spreads. So I'm moving one of my spreads up from the 340 strike to the 360 strike. And let's see what that does to my delta. Okay, so before my delta was -4, now when I roll up, my delta becomes +6. So moving one spread can really help your, can adjust. So once again, I've got 3 calendar spreads on, centered around the 340 strike. If Tesla moves up and kind of establishes a new range, like let's say it moves up to 360 and just hangs out, or 370, it just hangs out at 370 for the next week or two. Well, I might want to move the center of this calendar spread up a little bit, so that, because ideally we'd like to not adjust this at all and have it just stay here and we keep collecting money every day. But if it does move up a little bit, if we do adjust it, then if it continues to move higher and higher, we're not getting run over, and we can continue to collect that money every day. Now, in practice, you will see that even though this says theoretically we're collecting, what was this? Let me put this back to where it was. Theoretically, we're collecting 58 a day. Generally, it doesn't come in like that. It will be, as I said, one day you might make $200, and then the next day you might lose $100. But over a period of time, you will notice that you will be collecting money at a rate on average that is corresponds to this theta number that we see here. So this can be a great way, like I said, to collect income. It's a sophisticated way to collect income, but if you think about it, if you have $5,000, let's say that we didn't take that trade-off, but we just added the 360 strike a couple times. So if you had like $6,000, you could be collecting $100 a day. And $100 a day, that's like almost, that's like working another job. It's like you're on the ghost payroll for a job somewhere, and you don't have to come in and punch or anything, punch the clock. You don't have to work. All you have to do is every once in a while maybe adjust the center of your Tesla spread, and you're collecting as much money as somebody who actually goes out there and works at a gas station or something. So options can really be neat, and calendar spreads are a very interesting way to play options. Now, there's all kinds of other different ways to play options too. So continue to watch, and we can explore some different ways. But this Tesla spread has been working out for me. I had it on before earnings. I took it off right prior to earnings. Actually, I took it off on the Monday prior to earnings, and then because earnings is a little scary, and if it, you never know what's going to happen. It could work out perfectly, or it can make a big move. And in this case, it made a big move, but my concern was also just because of the vega attached to these calendars. So if you look at this, once again, these theoretical values under price slices, if you look over, you see delta. So delta is the number of dollars you would make for Tesla moving up $1. So if Tesla moved up $1, theoretically I would make $16. This gamma is like the rate of change in this delta. So if I'm short 3.37 gamma, then up $1, instead of being long 15 deltas, I'm going to be long 15 deltas minus 3.37. So 12.53 or something delta. So my delta slowly gets less as we move up here by the amount of gamma. Theta, how much do I collect a day in decay? But vega here, this is the price, how much money I will make or lose for a 1-point move in volatility. So overall, I am long 158 vega. Now, where does that come from? Well, it mostly comes from being long these October and September options. I've got some negative vega from being short the August ones, but not nearly as much as the long vega that I pick up from the long side of this trade. And this is important to monitor this number. If we go under Analyze tab here, and we look under option statistics, we can see that right now we're currently in the 38th percentile as far as volatility goes. Now, a week ago, this said 70%. Okay, so I wouldn't have wanted to keep this position on over earnings, because even if we hadn't moved a lot, this went way down. Volatility number went way down. As far as implied volatility in the option. So it's something you want to be careful about. You want to see where you are in the range of implied volatility. Here, when it shows implied volatility, that's the options prices. Historical volatility is actually how much the stock's actually been moving around. And obviously with that big spike up, this number is going to be pretty high. Like the average move around is pretty high right this second because of that big spike. If it doesn't move around much in the next couple of weeks, this number will fall. But right now, that 85 represents that huge move spike on earnings of like $48, $49 that we saw occur from Wednesday afternoon through Thursday. And I like to look at these option statistics to let me know where we stand in the range of things. VWAP, volume weighted average, This kind of tells where like most of the shares of that day were traded. So like you might have a range of 340 to 340 or to 350, but most of the shares were traded like right on the open for 341 or something. Then this number would be lower. This gives you just an idea of where most of the volume occurred. And some people will chart volume weighted average and use it to try to trade around. So that's what that is. All right, so any questions, leave them in the comments, and check this spread out. Check a calendar spread out in another stock that you might like, or maybe one of the ones that's coming out this week in earnings. Here's Costco. Costco seems to be moving upward steadily. So let me know what you think. Any comments down below, and thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you soon.